what is it, 24 now, 36, 24 hours of just Adam Schiff and Val Demings and Hakeem Jeffries? Are you kidding me? Droning on and on and on and on using video clips from MSNBC, and I've never seen anything like this in my life. It is the most infuriating process this country has ever been dragged through. I mean, here's a montage from Tucker Carlson last night of Schiff saying that Trump cheated. Somehow there's cheating because of his conversation with Ukraine. I mean, it's a great montage. These are like little babies on the schoolyard. These aren't even adults. I don't know how you take something like this seriously.
By inviting foreign interference and cheating in an election, to cheat in an election for precisely this reason, helping him cheat in the next election. To cheat in our election, should we just get over it? It's kind of cheating, really. If we're going to be honest about it, blatant about it, it's cheating. In other words, to cheat.
Keep your eyes on your own paper, class. But Schiff didn't stay in character for long. At one point, he seemed to switch abruptly from Mr. Chips to Dr. Strangelove. The United States, Schiff explained to the 19 viewers still watching confused, quote, aids Ukraine and her people so that we can fight Russia over there and we don't have to fight Russia here, end quote. Huh? Wait a second. Whoever said anything about fighting Russia, much less, quote, over here? Is Putin planning to invade the homeland? Is Milwaukee safe? Do unseen Slavic saboteurs move among us? What does Adam Schiff know about World War III that the rest of us don't know? Well, unfortunately, no one on CNN or MSNBC thought to ask him that. They were too deep in bliss. To the mouth breathers on cable television, an Adam Schiff speech is like a brainstem massage. Surging waves of ecstasy flood the central nervous system. Linear thought ceases. All that's left are satisfied grunts of pleasure.
A very, very powerful and forceful speech, almost 2.5 hours by Adam Schiff. A very, very strong case from Adam Schiff.
It was a very coherent, cohesive narrative, something that the White House doesn't have.
This was a speech really aimed at the better angels, and I think Adam Schiff did a really great job.
What did you think of the presentation by the lead House manager, Adam Schiff?
I thought it was dazzling.
We want to apologize to any viewers under 18 who may have just watched that. It was obviously pornographic and not suitable for children.
By inviting foreign interference and cheating in an election, to cheat in an election for precisely this reason.
How good is Tucker Carlson? I mean, there are times he cracks me up because it's like pornography. Oh, it was ecstatic. That was just so beautiful. I mean, Adam Schiff is like Daniel Webster. What an orator. What an orator, standing there with his eyes bulging and pounding that podium and going over and over again, the same crap over and over and over again. The most important editorial you'll read today is an editorial from the Wall Street Journal. It's from the editorial board. And I want to share this with you for 30 seconds. And I am mindful that you're as disgusted with this impeachment process as I am. The only people who are at all positive about impeachment are the ones who hate Trump and want him taken out of office. And they don't care about the process. They don't care about the merits. They just want it done. But I beg you to take a few seconds to listen to reason. The Wall Street Journal's editorial board says, as House managers make their case, many Americans will dismiss it all as a partisan effort that hasn't persuaded the country and will die in the Senate. They have a point. But the precedents the Democrats are setting could live on. Let us explain how dangerous the House's impeachment logic is to future presidents and the Constitution's separation of powers. Especially pernicious is the new House corrupt purposes standard. And you got to remember that phrase, corrupt purposes standard for removing a president from office. The House managers don't assert that any action that Trump took was an abuse of power or a violation of law. They don't deny he can delay aid to a foreign country or ask a foreign country leader to investigate corruption. Presidents do that all the time. Instead, they're asserting that Trump is guilty of abuse of power because he committed those acts for, quote, corrupt purposes, unquote. Now, the Wall Street Journal editorial, and I want to balance this, I want to read the whole thing to you so you have both sides of an argument here. As an aside, they say we should repeat that a president does not have to break a specific law to commit an impeachable offense. Mr. Trump's lawyers are wrong on this point, they say. Presidents were accused of breaking specific laws in America's 3 previous impeachments, but under the Constitution, a president can commit high crimes and misdemeanors if he commits non-criminal acts that exceed his executive authority or if he refuses to execute the law. But this means committing specific acts that are impeachable in and of themselves. For example, deploying U.S. troops against political opponents or suspending habeas corpus without congressional assent. Lincoln got a congressional pass in wartime. House Democrats are going much further and declaring that Mr. Trump's acts are impeachable because he did them for personal political benefit. He isn't accused of corruption per se. His Ukraine interventions are said to be corrupt because he intended them to help him win re-election this year. In other words, his actions were impeachable only because his motives were self-serving. Think about this in the context of history and precedent. Every president has made foreign policy decisions that he thinks may help him win re-election. That's what President Obama did in 2012 when he asked Dmitry Medvedev to tell Vladimir Putin to ease up on missile defense until after the election. Mitt Romney was criticizing Obama for being soft on Putin, and Obama wanted a political favor from the dictator to help him win re-election. Was Obama's motive corrupt and thus impeachable? We can guess what Mr. Romney thought at the time, but he didn't say that Obama should be impeached. He tried to defeat him at the ballot box. As 21 Republican state attorneys general explained in an important letter to the Senate, it cannot be a legitimate basis to impeach a president for acting in a legal manner that may also be politically advantageous. Such a standard would be cause for the impeachment of virtually every president, past, present, and future. The AGs add that the House's corrupt motives theory is dangerous to democracy because it encourages impeachment whenever the president exercises his constitutional authority in a way that offends the opposing political party, which is predisposed to view his motives with skepticism and motivated by its own motives to regain that very office. Once unleashed, this brilliant editorial points out, the corrupt motives theory will become a temptation whenever a president is disliked and down in the polls. The mere threat of common impeachment will make presidents much more beholden to Congress. The Wall Street Journal argues that the Senate, the Republican AGs have advised the Senate to explicitly reject the House's legal theory. This might take the form of a Senate resolution at the time of acquittal. The crucial point is to reject impeachment as a regular tool of partisan punishment, reserving it for genuine cases of presidential abuse. Now, I have long argued you cannot wipe away the fact that Joe Biden was the vice president during the time period that Trump is referring to Ukraine investigating the Bidens and corruption. But the Wall Street Journal points out that the House is making the case that because Trump, they say, was ostensibly trying to do something that was in his political best interests, that's a removable offense. In essence, the Wall Street Journal is saying everything a president does is in his or her political best interests. Everything they do. Everything they do is with an eye on re-election. Domestic, foreign, anywhere in between. That's the nonsense that the House is basing this entire ridiculous, stupid, tedious, wasteful, mind-numbing process. That since Trump was trying to look out for himself politically, I mean, the aid wasn't withheld. Ukraine didn't know the aid was even threatened to be withheld. Nothing happened. We know what was in the call. The whole thing is a joke. I urge you to read this great editorial in the Wall Street Journal